So I had to go on and make The City of Your Final Destination more or less on my own, and which has been
James Ivory, as the legendary filmmaker behind A Room with a View, Howard's End, and The Remains of the Day, has spent more than 7 decades crafting stories filled with elegance, emotion, and humanity. Known for his refined storytelling, gentle pacing, and ability to capture the subtleties of love and class, Ivory helped define an entire era of British period dramas. Now, at the remarkable age of 97, the Oscar-winning director has finally opened up about the 10 films that have inspired him most. Movies that shaped his creative sensibility and reminded him what true cinema can achieve. These aren't just his favorites for technical reasons. They're personal touchstones that reflect his deep appreciation for storytelling, art, and emotion. Let's explore James Ivory's 10 favorite movies of all time, films that shaped his vision and defined his lifelong love affair with cinema. 1. The Red Shoes, 1948. James Ivory has consistently cited The Red Shoes as a formative influence, especially for its pioneering use of color and kinetic energy. He once characterized the film as a symphony of art, music, and obsession, highlighting its technical and emotional complexity. The core themes of the 1948 classic, the intense demands of artistic devotion, and the conflict between personal passion and societal expectations, strongly resonated with Ivory. Throughout his own illustrious career, he often explored similar dilemmas in his characters, who are frequently caught between their desires and their duties. Ivory particularly admired the directorial style of Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger, noting their seamless fusion of fantasy with stark realism. He praised their visual storytelling, which he felt conveyed deep emotional truths far more effectively than mere dialogue. As Ivory summarized its lasting impact, The Red Shoes is about the price of art, a theme every artist understands deeply. The film's powerful narrative and aesthetic innovation established a high benchmark for the director. 2. Brief Encounter, 1945. For James Ivory, David Lean's Brief Encounter stood as the paramount example of emotional restraint, a film that profoundly affected him with its portrayal of 2 ordinary individuals falling in love, only to be forced to separate. Ivory deeply respected Lean's mastery in imbuing the smallest actions, a mere glance or a brief touch, with vast emotional significance.
Run.
Goodbye.
I'll be there.
Thank you, my dear.
He famously remarked, "In Brief Encounter, silence speaks louder than words, and that's what true love feels like." This film for Ivory perfectly captured the weighty, yet often unexpressed nature of deep affection. The unmistakable influence of Brief Encounter can be observed across Ivory's own cinematic works. This legacy is evident in their characteristic quiet intensity, their palpable sense of unspoken longing between characters, and a deliberate refusal to accelerate or simplify the complex pacing of human emotion. The film's masterful handling of internal life became a template for Ivory's sensitive and nuanced storytelling about love and loss. 3. La Dolce Vita, 1960. Directed by Federico Fellini, James Ivory has always appreciated filmmakers who push boundaries, and Fellini's La Dolce Vita was one of those films that made him rethink storytelling. He described it as a world of decadence and despair, shown with such beauty that you can't look away. Ivory admired the way Fellini used spectacle to critique emptiness, a lesson he carried into his own depictions of privilege and class.
Sì, Silvia. Vengo anch'io.
The film's mix of glamour and melancholy inspired Ivory's tone in The Europeans and Morris, both of which explore the intersection between appearance and truth. 4. The Rules of the Game, 1939. Directed by Jean Renoir, Ivory has long hailed The Rules of the Game as a perfect film. Jean Renoir's portrait of a French aristocratic gathering that spirals into chaos captured the contradictions of human behavior in a way Ivory deeply admired. He said, Renoir made no villains, only people. That's the secret, understanding everyone, even when they're wrong. Ivory's own films often echo Renoir's philosophy. They refuse to judge, instead revealing character through subtle nuance and behavior. The visual staging and naturalistic acting in Howard's End and Our Room with a View owe much to Renoir's influence. 5. Lawrence of Arabia, 1962. Directed by David Lean. Another Lean masterpiece on Ivory's list, Lawrence of Arabia captured everything he believed cinema could be: epic, intimate, and visually transcendent. Ivory often described it as a film of immense beauty and moral complexity. The desert landscapes, Peter O'Toole's performance, and the haunting question of identity fascinated him. He once remarked, Lawrence of Arabia proves that grandeur and intimacy can exist in the same frame, something every director dreams of. The film inspired Ivory's sense of scale, how to use setting as a character, and how to let visual grandeur coexist with emotional intimacy. 6. The Leopard, 1963, directed by Luchino Visconti. For James Ivory, Visconti's The Leopard was more than a film. It was a mirror of his own sensibility. The movie's lush visuals, aristocratic setting, and exploration of fading empires deeply resonated with him. He called it the most beautiful film ever made about change. Like Visconti, Ivory often explored the passing of eras and the quiet dignity of those left behind. Ivory admired Visconti's ability to balance elegance with decay, a quality evident in The Remains of the Day, where emotional repression and societal change form the heart of the story. 7. Tokyo Story, 1953. Directed by Yasujiro Ozu. When asked which film taught him the most about storytelling, Ivory didn't hesitate: Tokyo Story. He admired Ozu's simple, humanistic approach and the way he captured the universality of family and time. Ivory said, Ozu taught me that every quiet moment matters. Life isn't in the climaxes, it's in the spaces between. The film's meditation on aging, loss, and generational change profoundly influenced Ivory's pacing and tone. Like Ozu, he favored stillness, composition, and emotional realism over spectacle. 8. The Third Man, 1949. Directed by Carol Reed. The Third Man combined all the elements Ivory loved: visual elegance, moral ambiguity, and haunting atmosphere. He once said, "It's the film that showed me how shadows tell stories." The cinematography and haunting zither score fascinated him, but it was the film's tone, tragic, mysterious, yet oddly beautiful, that left a lasting mark. Ivory's own use of architecture, light, and framing echoes Reed's sense of mood and composition. Both directors use setting as a moral landscape. 9. Casablanca, 1942. Directed by Michael Curtis, Ivory admitted that Casablanca was one of the first films to make him fall in love with cinema. The romance, the moral tension, and the timeless dialogue captured his imagination as a young man. He once remarked, "It's the perfect balance of love and sacrifice, all told through unforgettable faces and music." While Ivory's style is more restrained, he admired Casablanca's emotional sincerity. It showed him that great storytelling doesn't need complexity, just truth, timing, and heart. 10. 2001, A Space Odyssey, 1968, directed by Stanley Kubrick. To round out his list, Ivory chose Kubrick's masterpiece, a film utterly different from his own style, but one he revered for its ambition and innovation. He said, 2001 reminded me that cinema is still a new language, and we're all still learning to speak it. Ivory was fascinated by Kubrick's meticulous control and the film's ability to evoke wonder without words. It reminded him that storytelling can transcend dialogue, culture, and even logic. It can be pure visual poetry. James Ivory's selection of films reminds us what makes him one of the most refined directors in history. A filmmaker who finds meaning not in noise or chaos, but in the stillness between emotions. His 10 favorite movies reflect a man who believes that cinema, at its best, is a mirror of the human heart. If you enjoyed exploring the films that shaped the genius of James Ivory, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay tuned for more stories about the legends who define the art of cinema.